Good morning, everybody. It's time for the Merkle Retirement Minute to get you all primed and ready for an awesome 2020. Lauren Merkle joining us in studio, Jackie.
And I'm so glad you're here, Lauren. Not only do you always give us great advice, especially if we're looking to be in the right path towards our retirement, but this year, I'm claiming 2020 as the year I really get my financial health in line. So if I'm looking at that, if I'm like one of the millions out there that has this plan, how are you going to make sure I'm doing it successfully?
Well, all three of us for the year 2019, we're talking about the importance of having a written, customized retirement plan that details with concreteness what your retirement vision is. And the importance of having that is not only does having that written, comprehensive plan make your plan to complete your vision easier, but when things change, like legislative changes, like your life, because life changes all the time, it makes it easier to adjust to those types of changes. So 2020, not only is this the start of a brand new year, this is the start of a brand new decade. So we have a whole decade that we have to plan for, and there's some things that have been announced that will have an impact potentially on many people as it relates to taxes and their legacy plan.
Now, it sounds like one of the important things, and you mentioned it twice in the past 30 seconds, having written down. And why is that a key element to what we're talking about?
Regardless of whatever you're trying to accomplish, you have goals, whether it's healthy goals or weight loss or solid financial planning, whatever your goals are, it's been proven time and time again that you have a much higher probability of being successful achieving those goals if it's in writing. If you can see it, it's much more clear on here's maybe the gaps that you have from where you are right now to accomplishing those goals, and here's what your vision looks like for whatever goals you're trying to accomplish. And one of the most important goals for many people is to retire the way that they want to and maintain the standard of lifestyle that they've grown accustomed to make sure they can continue to do everything that they've dreamed of doing even when they do no longer have their W-2 wages. Okay,
so if some things are changing in the new year or some new things we need to be aware of, what can we do? What are some main points you can make today to make sure we're staying on track?
So, some people have probably heard of the Secure Act. It just went through 2 weeks ago. December 19th it was passed. So what it does is it has created what I've called the RMD trap. What that means is required minimum distributions, RMDs, you are mandated once you're 70 and a half to start taking small distributions from your pre-tax retirement accounts. Because that's money that Uncle Sam has never taxed before. Well, as of January 1st, if you turn 70 and a half after January 1st, 2020, you no longer have to take it out at 70 and a half. You can wait until 72. But if you turn 70 and a half in 2019, you still have to start taking your required minimum distributions. So some people may have heard, well, I don't have to take them until 72 now because of this new law. Except for they turned 70 and a half last year, which means they were not grandfathered into the new law.
Okay, so the trigger has been tripped. You have to pay.
You still have to pay. So if you don't take your required minimum distributions out in time, then you have a 50% penalty.
That's amazing.
So let's say if your RMD was $10,000, you didn't take it out, that's $5,000 in penalty, plus you still have to take the $10,000 out and you have to pay taxes on the $10,000.
Wow.
That's huge.
So it's a significant loophole that some people didn't get grandfathered into that change.
As I say, know the fine print. You hear the good news, but you don't know if it's necessarily perfect for you.
That's exactly it. So the other aspect of this is of course, if you turn 70 and a half after January 1st, 2020, now you get to wait 18 months longer before you take your required minimum distributions out. So that's a good thing. The other thing is this law now makes Roth IRAs that much more meaningful for many people because the stretch provisions this is going back to the legacy planning, the stretch provisions have been eliminated for IRAs. Which means underneath old law, let's say somebody passes away, they have $1 million IRA, they pass it on to their daughter Judy, who's 50, she could take just a small distribution, let's say about 2%. So she was mandated to take about $20,000 a year out over the course of her lifetime. So potentially for the next 30 to 40 years, and then she's going to be taxed on maybe that $20,000 distribution. As opposed to now current law eliminates that potential. She has to have that $1 million out within 10-year period of time.
Wow, that's totally different.
So instead of paying $20,000 tax on $20,000, she pays taxes on maybe $100,000, which increases the level of tax probably that she's going to have to pay on that distribution.
Wow.
So it completely changed the landscape of wealth transfer for many people as well. So those types of significant changes, if you have your written customized plan already done, now you can make some tweaks here and there, and it's much easier to account for those changes.
Right.
Now, from a contributory standpoint, you have the ability now to contribute more to your employer plans. So your 401k plans,
right.
your 403b plans, you can now contribute $19,500 per year.
Really?
And then there's a $6,500 catch-up if you're age 50 or older.
Right.
So 50 and older, it's possible you can contribute up to $26,000 now for 2020 to your 401k plan, 403b plans.
Wow.
And let's talk, that should be a focus. If you're trying to get everything in line with your plan, you want to focus on savings and contributing at this point, correct?
Yes, and one of the things that you should consider is, do you contribute to the pre-tax side of your 401k plan, meaning that you don't pay tax on that contribution? Or should you switch your contributions to the Roth side, which means you do pay taxes on the contribution, but it grows tax-free forever.
So then when you withdraw it, there's no taxes on it.
Then there's no taxes on it. And if you never use it and you pass away, now it goes to your beneficiaries, your kids, your grandkids, tax-free to them as well.
Oh, so they have a chance to withdraw that too without any tax penalty.
That's exactly it. So once that money goes to the Roth side, nobody ever pays federal tax on it ever again, including the growth. And with the tax environment we have today, what we say is taxes are on sale, because the tax brackets have historically never been lower. The last time we've seen a 10% tax bracket, we have to go all the way back to the 50s. And right now, the highest tax bracket is 37%, which seems high. It seems like a lot, but in the 80s, it was over 70%.
Wow.
So taxes, historically speaking, are on sale now.
So it would make sense to pay your taxes now, get it out of the way, and then everything that grows is yours.
From a contributory standpoint, if you put it to the Roth side as opposed to the pre-tax side, now you've paid that tax bill and you never have to pay it again.
Okay, so since numbers are in our favor right now, let's talk a little bit about risk, because I think at the beginning of the year, we're all feeling pretty good. And so it's like, how should we look at our risk when we're looking at making investments like this?
I'm glad you brought that up, because this is a key note to take. 2019 was a fantastic year in the markets. And sometimes we go through a fantastic year like that, and we just want to continue to ride.
Yeah, and people are just all pumped up.
Let it ride.
Things are going good. Let's just
there you go.
Keep it going.
Keep it going.
But all the time, people are, and really for the last, since about 2015, people have been talking about when this next recession is going to hit, because it hasn't happened since 2008. 2008 was devastating.
Right.
People lost 50% of their life savings, and people are just waiting for that. Now, 2020, I don't think is going to bring the next recession. Now, nobody really knows.
Nobody knows. Yeah.
I could be completely wrong, but the importance of this conversation is make sure you understand how much risk you're taking. So whenever that recession hits, whether it's this year, next year, or the following year, you have a good understanding of how it's going to impact your portfolio, and that's going to give you a clear understanding of how it's going to impact your ability to retire.
Now, do you have strategies to help protect your money in case the recession does hit?
We do, and one of the most important aspects of what we do from the families that we work with standpoint is every conversation we have, almost every conversation we have, we're showing them how much risk they're taking. So if we're wrong and this recession happens this year, they know how much money that their portfolio is going to be down based on how it's constructed, based on how much risk they're taking. So this allows us, it enables us to have this conversation on a consistent basis to make sure we're all on the same page, to make sure they're comfortable with how much risk they're taking. And probably the most important part is, if the recession happens, will it impact their ability to retire? And if it does, let's make some changes, because the recession hasn't happened.
We need to go to one of your classes because you offer them all the time, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, when's the next group coming up?
Our next class is tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow? Okay.
Yep, it's already filled.
I was going to say, I'm sure it's sold out.
Already filled.
It's already sold out.
But this year we're going to do much more of them. So we have a couple more classes next week. And the classes are a little bit different this year. We're going to have more specialized classes. So if you're within 10 years of retiring, we have a class called Journey to Retirement.
Okay.
So when we focus on the stuff that you need to look at in the pre-retirement years. If you're already retired, we have a class called Boost Your Retirement. And we're going to focus on the things that you should be concerned about if you're already retired.
All right, so don't waste any time. Get signed up for the next class that is open and take advantage of the early part of the year, Jackie.
We got to have you come back. There's so much more to talk about in 2020,
We're just getting
Lauren.
going.
Okay, we'll see you again
year.
here soon. I love it. And you're going to get us on track and ready for retirement. You're watching